The Vikings have signed their first-round pick, Lewis Cine. Now, usually this is pretty academic. It almost always gets done, but this one is a little more significant, and here's why. Lewis Cine signs a 4-year, 11+ million, fully guaranteed deal, which means because he's the 32nd pick, the entire first round will be fully guaranteed this year for the first time. Ron, as a former player, what's your take on that news?
As a former player, that's huge. I mean, even if you go back to 2020 or sorry, 2002, um, I think Ed Reed was picked sooner, and he only got like 5. I think he was arguing over like 3 or 4 million or something like that. Like it's great, and that was like his signing bonus, and then like for the season you get your base salary, and so for Lewis Cine to get a fully guaranteed, basically $12 million deal because he's going to have some incentives in there as a rookie. Basically saying, like play 8. I guarantee there's like a play 80% of the snaps type thing, or play 90% of the snaps, play 70% of the snaps, play special teams. All that stuff's going to be in there because agents are smart now with that stuff because, one, as a bonus, it doesn't hit the salary cap the same way. And it just offers the team an opportunity to give the player more money without hitting that dead cap money. And so that's earned money. That's money they can say, okay, you earned it. Let's move this, restructure into a signing bonus another year. But the fact that it's guaranteed, I think that's huge for football because that's where everybody wanted it to go. Everybody wants it to get more like baseball, more like basketball. The problem, or not the problem, the solution is going to be the health. How do these 32 rookies play this year? How do they play health-wise? How do they perform on the field? It was so scary for owners because of bust. If you have a guy that's a bust and you guarantee him $20 million and then he never plays a down, you just gave $20 million away. But hey, that's life. You do business deals all the time where guys are getting, these big time, deals, business deals, and the business folds. And so I think that's why it's a huge spot for Lewis Cine to be in. But then I think the next step is going to be second rounders. I guarantee there's some second rounders right now as they saw the way the first round, because it normally goes in reverse. Normally signing some of the 6th, 7th, 8th, or 8th round, 6th, 7th rounders is easier. Like that's the easy, like, yep, this is where you're going to be slated. This is what you're going to get paid. Well, the fact that a lot of these first rounders aren't messing around, they're like, look, I just want to get signed. I want to get into camp. I want to get my name on this paper. So as soon as I show up, boom, I'm paid. And so when that ink dries, it's good. It's in his, he's going to have 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, whatever this 4-year deal. But once that, that deposit hits, because there's nothing saying you have to, unless there's language saying he has to make it to the first game and make the opening day roster or something like that. Other than that, my guess is he's good to go. So, his daughter, she's going to be in every Mall of America store that her heart can dream of right now. And I'm happy for him. I mean, that's huge for a young kid like that with a family. I just hope he's smart with it because, this league is not for long. That's why, that's what people say, NFL, not for long. Like, be smart with the money. Don't listen to Ponzi schemes. Hey, man, give me $1 million. I could turn it into 10. You're lying. If you would do it for yourself. You would take your 10,000 and turn it into something. Like if you need my $1 million to turn into 10, take your 100,000 and turn it to $1 million. Why are you trying to give me something that you can't get for yourself? And that's why I always look at like certain investments. There are some real ones out there, but there's some that aren't real and guys are just trying to make money off it. We've all seen Wolf on Wall Street. It came from some truth. But for the NFL, I think that's a step in the right direction. Happy for the rookie. And then the next step is second, third rounders. They're going to want these guaranteed contracts as well.
Yeah, it feels like it's trending more and more toward guaranteed deals in the NFL, starting with quarterbacks and Kirk Cousins, who started that trend. Now that's almost a given that your quarterback's going to be guaranteed, at least your franchise guy. I could see receivers starting to get guaranteed contracts as well, as highly as they're getting paid and as coveted as they are. Speaking of the NFL, let's stay on that topic. This came across my email yesterday from Bet Online, one of our good partners, and I was interested to see it. The Minnesota Vikings are the most heavily bet team to win the NFC at plus 1,800, so 18-1 odds. People are fired up to hammer the Vikings to win the NFC. You bet 100, you win 1,800 if they win it. Does that feel about right to you, Ron? 18-1 for the Vikings to make the Super Bowl.
I mean, I'm not a betting aficionado, so if they say it is, it is. It's all about what people are willing to pay. This is the thing about bets. The bets are like stock markets, is like supply and demand. My product is only worth what you're willing to pay for it. I might think it's worth $100,000. If you say I want to pay 80,000 for it, I have to decide, is 80,000 enough? Like, is that going to get me there? It's just like housing markets. It's only worth what somebody's willing to pay. And I think that's what people forget. Like, if somebody's willing to hammer a 18-1, then yeah, that's what they think the Vikings are worth. It doesn't mean anything. It just means what you're going to win if the Vikings win the NFC. Um, would I spend $100 to win 1,800? Yeah. I mean, shoot, I might go do that myself. But this is the thing: when you look at the schedule, and I think this is why you look at the NFC as a whole. Of course, you got the Rams, but maybe they're thinking, Odell Beckham's hurt. Matthew Stafford, maybe it was a 1-year lightning in a bottle type thing, refreshed, all that kind of stuff. He's doing his AT&T commercial, so who knows if he's going to be dialed in. But you got the Cowboys on the schedule. You got the Giants. You got the Jets. If you take the Cowboys out of there, Giants, Jets, I even feel like the Patriots now are beatable. Cardinals, I don't know where they're going to play them at. I'm hoping week 1, but without DeAndre Hopkins. Colts, same thing. I hope they get them week 3 before Matty Ice gets going at home. You look at the Bears. You look at the Lions. Beatable. You look at the Eagles, that's a toss-up. Commanders, beatable. Dolphins, beatable. Saints, beatable. So when you look at their schedule, it's very favorable for the teams they're playing and the situations these teams are now in. And I think that's going to be the key for the Vikings, is who can they get early that are just like the Commanders. Early on, I think they're going to struggle. Carson Wentz has never really come out the gate and made everybody be like, man, this guy is great. It's always like down the stretch, he starts to figure it out, but then he ends up getting hurt. That's kind of been the history of Carson Wentz. Like, he's kind of sputtered out the gate, had a great like mid-year where it's like, man, this guy's MVP, and then gets hurt. With the Colts, it was up and down. It was like every day was a different day for the Colts in their love hate relationship with Carson Wentz when they thought he was the guy when they signed him. And so for me, I think 18-1. I think $100 bet to get $1,800 is worth it. But at the end of the day, I think they can. Like, a lot of people have them clinching the NFC North in their picks too. So that's part of it. They think the Packers without the DeAndre or Devontae Adams is not going to be as good. So it's going to be up to what Kevin O'Connell's offense, I think, gives people hope, because this is an offense-driven league. You look at the Bengals offense, you look at the 49ers offense, all those, and then the Rams, all those kind of mirror each other, what they do. And now you're going to see a new one with the Vikings. I think teams are just going, what's the next hot team that has the weapons that now is going to have the offense to back it.
Yeah, I mean, what that tells me is that the bettors feel like the Vikings are undervalued at 18-1. Like, the smart people who make these bets, they're probably thinking, hey, the Vikings are actually like 10-1. We're getting 18-1. That's really good odds. And that's why they're hammering that number.
Yeah.
And they might reflect a little bit of doubt in Green Bay, like you said. So I think that's a good point. Last one. The Guardians and the White Sox, they had a series postponed due to COVID-19 this week. It got me thinking, are we in for a third straight year of the NFL season being affected by COVID absences or delays to the game? Or do you think that relaxed protocols will eliminate that this year in the season?
I think the protocols being relaxed are going to eliminate some of that. You're not going to have as much. You're going to have a lot of self-reporting. You look at the Guardians, though, 15-15, and then the White Sox 14-14. So could they have probably played this game? Probably, to be honest. I mean, baseball, unless there's, and I haven't seen the reports of who actually, who has the outbreak. So if they're trying to say, hey, our pitcher that was going to pitch is out, we don't want to play you guys right now, or, our main 2 pitcher catchers are out. So let's just postpone this. Because I feel like if it's like 2, guys that one's a DH, the other one doesn't play as much, and they have it, I don't think we would even heard about this story. I think possibly, that was a decision because of who caught it. I think that's the only way we're going to see this in the NFL is who catches it. That's when we're going to be like, all right, it's time to get these protocols back in place. Because if you have like Kirk Cousins and Matthew Stafford and Carson Wentz and Matt Ryan all getting it the same week, yeah, there's going to be some like, whoa, hold up now. Like, all right, let's get the test going again. I think the self-reporting is going to be key because like the asymptomatic players versus the players that, we've seen the reports of players, in the hospital, sick, not feeling well, dizzy, foggy, all that kind of stuff. The stuff they said, that's going to be part of it. I know there is some new technology out now, drugs where you can pre-take it, which is like, I don't know if it's like, it says basically like trying to hydrate yourself to beat the flu. It's an oral type of medicine. So maybe the NFL is already preparing to arm their, staffs with that for the players to, if you get it on a Monday, you're only out to Thursday, Friday because you all are vaccinated. The vax versus the non-vax players, I know that's going to come up in the next meetings in the conversations what the season is going to look like. At the end of the day, they're going to treat it like the flu. I feel like, if players are all comfortable and like, hey, if so-and-so has it, but, you don't feel bad about it, or you're just kind of sick, stay home, and then we'll get you back by Friday. I think that's going to be kind of the direction they go, especially with the vax and boosted players too. I don't think it's too much money, it's too much money in every sport, but the NFL, because it's only 17 weeks compared to baseball, you have so many games and so many, like you can do a double header in baseball. You can't do a double duty football game where you're like, okay, you got to play the Bears at 9 a.m. and you're going to turn around at 7 p.m. and play the Lions because you guys missed last week. Like it's not going to happen. Like there's no way the NFL can pull that off, postponing games. So I just feel like they're going to have some stuff in place that it's not going to be public, because what you don't want is players coming out publicly pissed off about it. Like, I don't want to do that. Like, why are we doing this? Like, they're going to do it privately. It's going to be a part of their private organizations, manage it the way you need to manage it. Because they don't want the media and the play, because that's all it takes is one media member to ask the question, one player to say it's a bad soundbite, and here we go again. And now you got guys fighting each other over this thing, and now you got people telling stories about it and why this is important. I just think they're trying to put that to bed and move on and get ready for the season.
Yeah, you can't tell me that the number of unvaccinated Vikings last year versus the vaccinated Vikings and Mike Zimmer, coming down pretty hard on it, that had to be a bit of a distraction for the Vikings specifically. So if it's all kind of relaxed this year, if it's not as much of a stigma, I feel like that helps the Vikings and gets them maybe a little more cohesive.
Definitely, and I think that's the key.